It's me, Vicki Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. And in this video, we're going to talk about a couple of cases. The first thing we're going to talk about is this POS, Jake Haro, who has pled guilty to the murder, second-degree murder, he's pled guilty to, of little Emmmanuel. Now, we were following this case. It went quiet when Jake and Rebecca were arrested. So this is Jake. She is the mother of Emmmanuel, if you can call her that, Rebecca. And little Emmmanuel, who still has not been found. So we're going to talk about that development. That's what we're going to talk about first. Then we're going to talk about, well, I say updates, not really updates, but we're going to talk about Gus Lamont, this little boy who's gone missing in the Australian outback. He's still missing. The latest search for him did not yield any results. Nothing has been found. It's very strange. He disappeared from his GMA's property out there in remote Australia. They've got a huge sort of sheep station, remote property. A lot of searching has been done on it, but it's a big place to search. He was apparently just playing in some sand 1 minute, and then when the grandma went out again to have a look, he was gone. 2 weeks ago, and nothing has been found. No clothes, no trace. One footprint that the police have said could possibly be Gus's, which to me is odd. Where are all the other footprints? And this is his mum, his dad, his GMA, and that is Gus. And so we're going to talk about that as well. But first of all, we're going to talk about Jake Haro's guilty plea. But even before that, I just want to say hello to everybody. Thank you, of course. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Very special thank you to my members who last night we had the members live. And yeah, we talked about ghosts. And I might release some of that because there were interesting ghost stories about haunted bridges. So we may talk about that. Now, I've just realised I haven't brought any drink with me, no tea, no coffee, no water, no nothing. So I might have to just pop off and get a drink in a moment. But anyway, that is special thank you to my members. Thank you to those of you who've sent super stickers or PayPal or bought Ko-fi, etc. Thank you. So, hello to my lovely lurkers. Thank you for watching. Hi to replay crew. Again, thank you for watching. And now I'm just going to come into the chat and say hello to those of you that are brave enough to raise your head above the parapet and join in the chat. Thank you for that. So let's see. Hi, Celia. Yeah, see, it's no dogs, no dingoes. Well, I don't know. That's what people are saying. The thing is, basically, I think one thing we can know for sure is they've got no clue what's happened to this little boy. No clue. Doesn't seem like they do, does it? Hi, Annie. Hi, David. Hi, Blue. You're not getting your notifications. Oh, I don't know. You know, do you know I get for the YouTube channels that I'm subscribed to? I get no notifications or rare. And sometimes I get notifications from YouTube channels that I've unsubscribed to for whatever reason, but I still get notifications. So it's really quite odd. You know, I don't really understand how YouTube works. Honestly, I really don't. A lot of people say they don't get notifications. And as I say, sometimes I get notifications from people I'm not even subscribed to. So I don't know what that's about. Hi, David. Yeah, if we could understand the mystery of YouTube. Oh, you think you might have had one after all? Yeah. What did you not change your name yourself, Lou? Are you saying that you didn't change your name, that YouTubers changed your name? How odd? How odd? Anyway, let me take my banner off. So let's start with Jake Haro. I just want to update you. Oh, I've put him in the hellhole already. Because although he's not actually been sentenced yet, I normally wait until someone's been sentenced. But I just wanted to, and we haven't put anyone in for ages. This is Jake Haro. So he's pled guilty to the murder of his baby. Second degree murder. So I presume that is going to say that it was an accident, or that maybe he was abusing him and that he died by accident. I don't know what he's going to say, but of course this is him. This is his wife, Rebecca, and that's little Emmmanuel in the middle. Now, just to remind people what happened here. So this baby, we don't really know exactly when this baby went missing, because it's uncertain when this baby was last seen alive. So we don't really know. I mean, I presume Jake has told the police what happened or whatever. We also don't know where this baby is. He went out with the police, didn't he, one day to supposedly help in the search, but nothing was found. I don't know if the police are searching for Emmmanuel anymore. People seem to think, or the authorities seem to think, that he went into that he was put in a dustbin. I mean, how disrespectful can you be to put your baby in a dustbin? I mean, it just isn't. It just, this guy, and not only that, for those of you who don't remember, or maybe this is the first time you're coming up against this case. So this is isn't it Florida? Just let me check where it is, because I can't remember exactly where it is. Let's see. No. California. So San Bernardino, California, this happened. And the only reason it even came to light that little Emmmanuel was missing. Oh, and the other thing we have to remember, this man, he has another child that he abused and he left for dead, a girl. And the child was taken off him, well, he was imprisoned very briefly. It was like days. He has done the same to another child who lived but has got such severe brain damage. This child is blind. She's been looked after by a family member, luckily, but she will need care, 24-hour care for the rest of her life. She's been so severely brain damaged. He did that to that child. And then the judge, for whatever reason, when it came to his sentencing, gave him the most ridiculous short sentence, and released it. So he was released to do the same to another of his children. And this time it's resulted in death. But, looking at the photos of Emmmanuel, I don't mean to be horrible, but it looks to me that he's already got something wrong with him. His eyes aren't right, are they? I don't even know if he's alive in that photo. That's how it feels. This baby, just didn't deserve the short, violent life that they had at the hands of this horrible man. And then Rebecca is no better. So she's covered up for him. Now, she has not pled guilty to murder. So I don't think she's going to be charged with murder. I don't know what she's going to be charged with. But she definitely knew about it, because the first that anybody knew of this case was when Rebecca said that she'd, what did she done? Parked a car up to go and buy some nappies or something in a centro comercial, a commercial centre. Some man came up and said, "Hola." Some Mexican man, she said. So she's even throwing shade at her own, because I presume she's, well, certainly Jake, of Hispanic descent, throwing shade at her own, her own culture, if you like, or her own heritage. Some Mexican guy came up, said hola, punched her in the face. This is her story that she told the police. That's where she said she got this black eye from. But it was already, when she reported it to the police, you could see that black eye was old. It wasn't a fresh black eye, definitely. We looked at it in depth. There's, and there it'll be on one of my videos. I've done quite a few videos about this case when it all was coming out, before Jake and Rebecca were arrested. Yeah, so some Mexican guy came up, said hola, she turned round, he punched her in the face, and when she woke up, Emmmanuel was gone, disappeared. So that's the story she came out with. So now that Jake is admitting that he's murdered Emmmanuel, she's going to be in trouble one way or another, but not for murder. And probably it was him, but she'll have covered it up. Maybe she's terrified of him. But, then when he was arrested, that's the time to tell the truth, isn't it? Yeah, I know that women who get domestically abused, they're scared. But, once Jake was in prison, or being quiet, and she was arrested too, she was safe, she was in the police station. Why didn't she tell the truth then? Or did she think he'd be released again like he was released before? So that judge who released him earlier from the first attack that he made on his first child, on the first one of his children, that judge bears responsibility as well. And we've talked about that before. I think that judge needs to be prosecuted too. You could let somebody out who's done such a terrible thing to their own child, and she was even, she was a baby, just a few weeks old. Hurt a baby so much that they go blind and they've got severe brain damage and they'll never walk again, and can't. Yeah, I know what we'll do. We'll let them out because, he's probably sorry. Oh, yeah, he's got other children, but that's okay. We don't care about those other children. So that judge is complicit, in my opinion. That judge needs to be prosecuted for letting this piece of shit out so that he could do exactly the same thing to Emmmanuel. Now, the other worrying thing is, as I say, Emmanuel's little body hasn't been found. So I'm presuming Jake is cooperating with the police. That's worrying, isn't it? Because is he in a landfill site and he'll never be found? That little baby just cast out like rubbish, will never be even given a decent funeral, any respect. That baby has had no respect for its whole life. Just a mother who... a mother that's not worth a piece of, the mother, the father. Luckily, it is a family member that has taken the other baby on, and she's now about 9, I think. I'm not sure, to be honest, so I best not say that, because I can't remember how old she is now. But at least some of the family care about Emmmanuel, I presume, but his own mother and father are the people that should have, looked after him. They didn't care about him, and they've just thrown him in the rubbish by the sound of it. So let's just have a look. He really is, it's, if it wasn't for the fact that I think Well, he's going to be a candidate for Twonk of the Year, that's for sure. But, you know, Travis Decker is still ahead, isn't he? Because he killed 3 of his children. But, you know, he's going to be discussed in Twonk of the Year. But she's a twonk as well, isn't she? She's a complete twonk because I just don't know how she could cover up for him. Honestly, I don't. The very first chance you got, I mean, I can see, you know, how you'd be scared, but the very first chance you got that you're on your own, you would just tell on him, wouldn't you? If you were any sort of mother. So let's just have a look. Oh, so apparently Jake, when he pled guilty, he was crying in court. Oh, diddums. Poor Jake, he was really upset apparently in court. Let's have a look. Let's see which one. Let's have a look at Fox News. Just can't believe it. It's too late to be crying now. I mean, that's probably what he did at the last one. You know, made out he was really remorseful. He was really sorry. And the other thing, if you see this guy, he's built like a brick shithouse. He's enormous in every sense of the, you know, he's tall, he's fat. You imagine what a man, what a big man to hurt a little baby. You know, how brave, what a great, big, strong man he is. How he ever gets a woman, I don't know. How do these men get women? You know, she must be thick as pig shit. Sorry, I'm starting to get angry now. I can hear myself starting to get angry.
We're outside the Haro family home, and you can see right behind me there's a small memorial for baby Emmmanuel. Today, his father admitted to killing him. We spoke with a man who was inside the courtroom and witnessed the guilty plea.
I was shocked. Not only was Jake crying, Rebecca was crying, but as I looked around the courtroom, there was tears everywhere.
Riverside County resident Don Cato says it was a surprise to everyone in the courtroom when Jake Mitchell Haro suddenly pleaded guilty to murdering his baby boy Emmmanuel.
As he was crying, he said, "I want to plead guilty." And I was sitting on the side behind Rebecca, and she was shocked as well. She's rocking back and forth, and she was like, "My baby, my baby."
People from all over Southern California came out to help search for the...
Oh, you know, and Rebecca, she's another one. She's probably going to get away with this practically scot-free. She won't probably even get a prison sentence. Because if he's pled guilty to the murder, she's going to say she didn't know anything about, but she must have known something, because she's the one that came up with this, you know, that said that this man had punched her in the face and, you know, the baby had been kidnapped. So she must have known then that Emmmanuel was dead, mustn't she? She must have known. But whether Jake has said to her, "Oh, it was an accident," or, you know, I think, didn't he say he'd rolled over on the baby or something? The problem is, because they haven't got the baby's body, there's no autopsy. So if there's skull fractures and things like that, which I think 100% there will be, and that's probably the reason why he won't disclose exactly where Emmmanuel is, because he won't want the autopsy report. He won't want, you know, any broken bones or anything like that to be revealed. So yeah. So, and look, this little memorial, and you just think it's ironic, isn't it? Because people care about Emmmanuel. I hope you can see that it was cared about, even though it wasn't by his mum and dad, but or it feels that way. So why do you think he's crying in court? You know, he's crying because he's been caught out. I mean, did they really think that the police were going to believe that story? You know, that some Mexican punched Rebecca in the face and kidnapped the baby. I mean, you know, it's crazy, isn't it? I don't know how they came up with that, but I suppose it was desperation, you know, because they were just thinking they had to say something to explain the fact that this baby had disappeared.
the 7-month-old baby last August after his parents went on the news pleading for his safe return.
I'm begging you, please, bring my son back to me.
Haro.
Yeah, bring my son back to me. Oh my God. And look at her black eye. You see, that was supposed to be the next day or something, you know. So anyway, to me, it was clear that that black eye, something's happened. Maybe she dropped the baby. Maybe Jake punched her in the face. She dropped Emmanuel on the floor. But I think Emmanuel, like the other little girl, had probably had a cycle of abuse. It won't have been the first time. And it could be that it was an accident, but you notice she's not actually crying. She's doing an Erin Patterson cry. No tears. There are no tears. You know, so I think she's so obsessed with Jake for whatever reason. I think Jake must be drugging these women or something, or maybe just chooses absolutely thick ones, because what they would see in him, I have no idea.
Bring my son back to me.
Haro entered the guilty plea on Thursday during a felony settlement conference at the Hall of Justice in Riverside. He admitted to murder, child endangerment, and filing a false police report.
It's highly unusual for a suspect in a murder case to plead guilty without testing the evidence in the case, and so quickly after being charged.
Criminal law attorney Dimitri Gorin, who is not involved in this case, believes Haro may have incriminated himself during a police interrogation and decided to plead guilty to avoid the risk of a longer prison sentence.
If I was his lawyer and I had a client accepting a guilty plea so early on, and if he also helped the investigation, I would ask for the minimal possible sentence and try to reduce what he's facing based on his cooperation in the case.
Rebecca Haro continues to maintain her innocence. She has not changed her plea and still faces charges of murder and filing a false police report.
The ultimate.
Now, I wonder whether she'll change her plea. She just doesn't look upset at all. You know, like no tears, no, you know, she just doesn't give a shit. She probably thinks, oh, I can have another baby. You know, sometimes people, they just don't value babies, do they? You know, how difficult it is for some people to have children. And that, you know, she's just, anyway, just unbelievable.
Closure, as you see here, would be to actually bring baby Emmmanuel home to give him a proper resting.
So look, you can see with this baby, something's wrong here. And he's, you know, he never stood a chance, did he really? Bless him.
And that's what many in the community are hoping for, praying for, that they'll be able to find the baby's remains. So far, that is still an investigation that's ongoing. Now, Rebecca's preliminary hearing has been scheduled for November 3rd, and that is the same day that Jake Haro will be sentenced. We reached out to the prosecution, but they chose not to comment on this case. Marla?
That's their prerogative. All right, Gina, thanks so much.
Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out my show. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so and that's, yeah, we haven't got, because we're going to go on to the next case. But anyway, I just wanted to update you, let you know what was happening. I don't know what sort of evidence will come out now. But as that the guy just said there, it's unusual for people to plead guilty so early on in the case, because they've not, you know, it's got nowhere yet. They haven't had the present, what do they call it, disclosure, the presentation of evidence, etc. They haven't had that yet. So that guy seemed to think that maybe Jake had revealed something under interrogation. And so he decided to plead now guilty to second-degree murder. I mean, what will that mean? You know, will they still be able to go ahead and prosecute him for first-degree murder if they want to and not accept that? Is this a plea deal that he's offering? But, you know, the prosecution haven't necessarily accepted it. You know, especially if the body turns up and they get more proof of abuse. So yeah, the prosecution haven't accepted it. So, you know, it doesn't mean to say that he won't still get prosecuted for first degree murder. But you know what I've come to think recently is, you know, because I would think, oh, it's always better to avoid a trial, really, you know, to put the family through everything that they have to go through, you know, like with Erin Patterson, what Ian Wilkinson and all the family of the victims had to go through. It's hard to go through a trial. But when somebody just look at Stephen Stearns and Madeleine Soto, I feel like such empty justice. And I was glad that it didn't go to a trial, because I didn't want Madeleine's images being shown to everybody. You know, all that, because, you know, if Stephen Stearns' case would have gone for a trial, you know, all that evidence off his phone and, you know, would have been shown to the jury and everything, and probably leaked out as things do. And, you know, Madeleine's been through enough humiliation, hasn't she, over the years that she was abused by Stephen Stearns. So I was sort of glad, really, when it finally turned out it wasn't going to trial. But then it seems so empty, because he hasn't even admitted it. I mean, Stephen Stearns pled no contest. So he hasn't even pled guilty. Not first degree murder, second degree murder, you know, 14th degree murder. He hasn't had to say what happened. We still do not know what exactly happened that night when Madeleine Soto lost her life to that horrible man. So there's another part of me that thinks, and maybe it would have been better if it would have gone to trial, because it would have had to come out what actually happened. So, you know, I know that one is in Florida, and a lot of evidence had been released already, but there would be lots more, you know, like we didn't get to hear about, you know, did he take Madeleine out of the boot and put her in that storage unit? You know, there's so much that we don't know. And we will never know, because Stefan, the piece of shit that he is, pled no contest. So he's not even put his hands up and said he killed her. He's still trying to make it. So probably his mum and dad are probably still saying, oh, we know it wasn't you. You know, he should have been made to tell, and publicly, what he did to Madeleine. And then at the sentencing, what did he say? He said, oh, Madeleine was a joy. Oh my God. I'll tell you what, if Madeleine was my daughter and I was in that courtroom, I think I would just have to kill him, because, you know, I mean, of course, and Jennifer wasn't there, was she? Jen Soto, we don't know where Jen is. I think she's probably you know, having psychiatric help, because I can't imagine what Jen's going through, especially because everyone hates her and thinks that, you know, she must have been involved. So I don't know about Jen. She didn't turn up at the courtroom, but she wouldn't have been safe probably to turn up at the courtroom, I think, because people hate her so much. Anyway, so yeah, so he's pled guilty to second degree murder. Whether the prosecution will go forward with first degree murder anyway, or whether, you know, a little Emmmanuel will ever be found, I just don't know. But I suppose it's sort of good news in a way, and that we'll wait and see what Rebecca decides. But anyway, I'll keep you updated on that case, and just prayers for little Emmmanuel. Light a little candle. Hello, the dogs come say hello. It's like a little candle, a virtual candle for him, and you know, just hope he's sleeping in the arms of Jesus, or, you know, in the arms of angels, this little boy now. But it would be nice if he could be brought home, at least given a decent burial, because the thought of him just cast out somewhere, probably in the rubbish, it's just disgusting, isn't it? You know, it's almost as disgusting as killing him, you know, to just cast him in the rubbish like that. Just can't imagine how anyone could do that, let alone the father. his own father. You can't imagine how a stranger could do that to a baby. But unfortunately, there are people out there that do horrible things. But anyway, so, oh, yeah, thanks for the candles. So let's go on to talk about little Gus. Another little ones. It just seems all these missing children cases, you know, it's horrible, isn't it? It's especially horrible. It's bad enough. Any case is bad enough. But when it's a children's case, a child's case, it's of course always that bit worse, isn't it? Now then, let me just put his little, yeah. So this is another really, really strange case. You know, just one of those cases. It's similar to Jack and Lily Sullivan. A child just disappearing, not being monitored, not being supervised in that moment, you know, but in this sort of huge sort of homestead, remote part of Australia, a sheep station, apparently. And we're going to look at, you know, what the timeline supposedly was, where everybody was at the time. Now, there's a very complicated, now, Gus is only 4. So he's been missing 2 weeks. The police have said they can't see that he could still be alive. But the thing is, where is he? So there's been, you know, a lot of searching gone on for Gus. And just over the last few days, the army have been in there and searched, but they've just wound up that search. They haven't found anything. Nada, zilch. You know, so where is he? I mean, he's got to be somewhere, hasn't he? So it's quite a complicated sort of familial relationship in the sense of Gus's mum, that's his mum there, she lives on the sheep station apparently with the GMA, and the GMA was born a man and transitioned to a woman many years ago apparently, and lives on that sheep station. I think they have a partner as well. And then the father, Gus's father, does not, although Gus is supposedly, this is what they're saying anyway in the media, that they are still together. Gus's mum and dad are still together, but Gus's dad does not live there because he doesn't get on with the GMA. And also he didn't think it was a safe place for children. They have another child as well, younger than Gus, another boy who also lives there. So this is the sort of family dynamics. And apparently at the time when Gus went missing, his mum was at the sheep part of the sheep station. I mean, it's a huge property. So she was not there at the house. The GMA was looking after Gus and the youngest, his sibling. And apparently Gus was there 1 minute playing in sand and then he was gone. I mean, it couldn't be possible that he's buried under the sand, could it? I mean, I know that sounds totally ridiculous, but because you think that would obviously, surely that'd be the first place he'd dig up the sand or whatever. But it just occurred to me, because I can't see that he could have gone far. Now, the police are still saying up to this point, there's no evidence of any foul play. They believe that Gus literally wandered off. This is what the police are saying. So we have to take that face value until we hear any different, don't we? You know, the police are saying he wandered off and there's no... So we have to take that face value until we find out any different, don't we? Hi, JT. Yes, I think the other child should be removed until, you know, it's... Well, I don't know. Should they be removed? Because then they go into foster care, wouldn't they? And that's not very nice either. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is here. Yeah. Anyway, at the end of the day, this little one is missing. Nobody knows where he is. He's been missing 2 weeks, so he's not looking after himself for 2 weeks, that's for sure. So if he has wandered off, he's got, it sounds awful, but he will be deceased. He has to be. So if he's been taken, he could possibly still be alive somewhere. Anyway, let's have a look at so what is this? 7 News have come out with this timeline. They say they've learnt more about the actual events on that. It was a Saturday evening. Let's have a look. Let's see what they've got to say.
With exclusive new details about the night 4-year-old Gus Lamont vanished on his family's outback property.
Lauren Rose is live at Yunta. And Lauren, we're learning more about what family members were doing when he disappeared.
We are, Will, and while it helps paint a picture of that tragic night, sadly, there's still no sign of the 4-year-old. 7 News has been able to establish a timeline starting at 5 p.m. on Saturday, September 27, when Gus was last seen playing in sand out the front of the homestead. We now know Gus's grandma was watching his little brother Ronnie inside, while his mum and another grandparent were 10 kilometres away looking after the station's sheep. Gus was discovered missing at 5:30 and the police were called 3 hours later. Today, 80 members of the Australian Defence Force have split into groups of 20 to widen the search area even further.
Now, yeah, the army have been called in. Now, I just don't know how you search an area like that, because Gus is so tiny. Now, it's scrubland, isn't it? It's not forest, so it should be easier, you would think. And they've sent the drone over, haven't they, which they're still checking all the drone footage, because there's got to be something. Anyway, apparently it's boiling hot in the day. It's freezing cold at night. There's no way this little boy has survived 2 weeks if he is out there. Just no way.
They've been walking up to 25 kilometres a day in hot and harsh conditions. It's now been 18 days since Gus wandered off. In Australia, his disappearance has been compared to the high-profile missing persons cases of Azaria Chamberlain and William Tyrrell, while overseas media has drawn parallels of their own.
Now, yeah, they bring Madeleine McCann into it as well. So, yeah, those 2 cases they talked about, like that was the baby supposedly taken by a dingo, and Lindsay Chamberlain, she was reviled for years, wasn't she, saying that she had not told the truth, that she in fact had killed her own baby. But then it was revealed many years later that the dingo, there was some evidence, wasn't there, that the dingo, did they find the clothes in a dingo in a cave or something? I can't remember how it got resolved, but anyway, she was exonerated. But of course, in a lot of people's eyes, she still isn't. Then there was, of course, William Tyrrell. He was the boy in the Spider-Man pajamas. I have covered his case on my channel before. And interestingly enough, just the other day, some Spider-Man pajamas were found close by to where William went missing, but they weren't his. I just wonder, but just think, God, had somebody planted them there? Just like, people do things like for reasons that you cannot account for. But it just seems strange that some Spider-Man pajamas, as I say, not his, no way they were his Spider-Man pajamas, but why would there be Spider-Man pajamas just lying around apparently they were found by the new owners of a property or something. Anyway, so yeah, just a little sort of strange thing. But people do things like that, don't they? I mean, people are weird. Sorry, but they are. Why would they find Spider-Man pajamas just out there in in the bushes or whatever. It makes you wonder. Sorry. Hey, don't. So that just a little aside. So as I say, they definitely weren't his pajamas. So, you know, the authorities have said that. But just ironic that these Spider-Man pajamas were found. So then, so the Dingo baby case, William Tyrrell, it's been compared to, and of course Madeleine McCann. So it's reached over the pond. I mean, I'm talking about it, call it over the pond. That's really from America, isn't it? It's like an international story now, like Madeleine McCann's was. And of course, at the moment, the stalking trial is taking place of the fake Polish Julia Wendell, who claimed to be Madeleine McCann, but has been proven definitively she's not, which most of us knew anyway. That trial is going on of the stalking of Kate and Jerry McCann. But as far as what happened to Madeleine McCann, we have no idea, you know, no further on 17 years later. So I hope for this family's sake, that's not going to happen here. Could you imagine 17 years go by? Nothing.
While overseas media has drawn parallels of their own.
We have a missing persons case with ourselves, with family, a young girl called Madeleine McCann, who many years ago went missing in Portugal. And people still talk about it, and we still try and theorise as to exactly what happened.
Yeah, so
tomorrow the search will start and finish earlier as temperatures here are set to soar.
It reached GB News, you know, Eamon. He doesn't look very well, Eamon Holmes, I don't think. Hope he's okay. Definitely doesn't seem very well, does he? But anyway, so yeah, they talked about it on GB News. They had the Australian reporter on there. You know, and they're comparing it to the Madeleine McCann case. Any missing child, I suppose, is going to attract attention. But, you know, children do go missing every day. I think the reason this case has attracted so much attention is just so mysterious. It reminds me more of the Ben Needham case. Some people will know about Ben Needham. He was a British boy. He disappeared in Greece. And he was playing outside. Little toddler, remote property, and disappeared. And, you know, his mum is still desperately searching for answers. So his case has received a lot of attention, but not as much attention as Madeleine McCann's case, I must say. But still, it has, and they've been, you know, over the years, many people, again, same with Madeleine McCann, have come forward saying they are Ben, you know, and asking for DNA tests. And we found out in the Madeleine McCann trial that 12 other people have come forward and said that they are Madeleine McCann. So not only Julia Fruit Loop Wendell, and don't forget Julia Wendell, she pretended to be 2 other missing children before she decided to pretend to be Madeleine. So she's, you know, I don't know who she's going to pretend to be now, perhaps Shergar. Sorry, that's a distasteful joke. But, you know, it's like, you can't believe that people would do that. You know, would claim to be a missing person. I mean, maybe some of them genuinely wonder if they are that person. There's always that possibility. You know, and the detective in the trial was saying they do sometimes do DNA tests. It depends on circumstances. Anyway. That's that. So what I'm saying is, imagine this family, if this goes on and on and on, then 17 years later, people are going to be coming forward and saying, oh, I'm Gus Lamont. You know, I remember the day I was snatched. This is sort of thing they say, you know, anyone with blonde hair and blue eyes will be coming forward and saying they're Gus Lamont. It's just awful to think. They won't. I hope they get a resolution, and even I know it's horrible. I hope they get a happy resolution mostly, But some resolution surely will be better than nothing.
Into the mid-30s by the afternoon. It will resume on Friday. Such is the determination to find closure for Gus's family.
We begin with exclusive new details about the night 4-year-old Gus Lamont vanished on his family's outback property.
Lauren Rose is live at Yunta. And Lauren, we're learning more about what family members were doing.
Okay, so that actual newscast, so it has been Friday now in Australia. Nothing's been found. They're packing up to go, or they have packed up to go. It's finished, that particular search. Now, that doesn't mean to say they might not go out again at some point. You know, I hope they do. I hope they do. I just hope they find him one way or another. You know, it's important, isn't it, for the family? Hey, Deborah, JT. Yeah, yeah, but it's again, it's as far as William Tyrrell's concerned, it took a long time, and that's years ago that happened. See how long it's taken. Yeah, I've done a video about William Tyrrell, Deborah. I've done it. You'll find it on my channel. So I've been into all that. But, you know, no one's been charged yet. That's what we always have to remember. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, we all have our opinions, but we don't know all the facts. We never know everything that the police know, and we have to remember that. But we have our views and our opinions, but we can't know for sure until someone's actually charged and brought to book for it. Okay, now the other interesting thing that I just wanted to show you is, and you may know, let me see. Oh, first I'll play this, which is to say that the search has ended. So very sadly, the search has ended. But anyway, let's play.
Ben, thank you. This week's renewed search for 4-year-old Gus Lamont, who vanished in outback South Australia, is about to wrap up almost 3 weeks since he was last seen. Live now to Lauren Rose, who is in Yunta. Lauren, the Army is about to head back to Adelaide.
That's right, Tash, and they're really devastated to be leaving here without having found 4-year-old Gus Lamont. You can only imagine how devastated his family must be, having to say goodbye to these search teams without any answers. Tomorrow marks...
I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? But it does look, you know, you would think a drone, if Gus's little body, even though he's only little, surely a drone would spot him, or, you know, because it's quite open, isn't it? You know, it's, as I say, it's not all covered by trees and everything, and be very difficult to search. It's very open. So you would think that if he was there, he would be quite easy to spot. You know, with that many people covering that much ground and the drones.
3 weeks since Gus's grandma last saw him, since anyone last saw him. He was playing on a pile of sand out the front of their house. He was left unsupervised, and next minute he was gone. He simply vanished on the family's vast expansive outback sheep station. Since then, what we've seen is the largest search in South Australia's history. 95 square kilometres have been meticulously scoured, many more hundreds of square kilometres by air. Still though, searchers don't even know which direction Gus wandered off in. He was wearing...
You know, my feelings, I don't know if it was foul play or not, and let's presume that it wasn't, and he wandered off. I don't think he'd be far away. How can a little boy, 4-year-old, unless somebody's taken him away, but surely the GMAL would have heard a car in that, you know, you hear everything in those. You know, we've got some of my chatters who live on similar properties, and they say you can hear cars and things. You know, if a car had come up and taken Gus, it would have been heard. 100% by the Gmail. She was only in the house. You must get used to sounds in the country of what's, you know, and then suddenly you hear a different sound. I mean, all of us get used to the sounds around our properties, don't we? Even in mine, where, you know, I live in a more built up, you know, I'm not in a remote area, but you know, sounds. If you hear something that you think, oh, hang on a minute, I've not heard that before. What's that? You know, you notice. So in a remote place like that, I'm sure the Gmail would have noticed anyone coming and abducting Gus. Personally, that's what I think. And I don't believe that little boy will have gone far away. I know, you know, toddlers can run and can move quick, but I just don't believe it. I think he'd be roundabout. If he's had an accident, he'd be roundabout. I can't believe that's why I was saying, you know, think, God, have they checked the actual sand pit or whatever it is? Because you just think, how can he have gone that far unless he was taken by an animal? You know, but then other people are saying, oh no, there's no dingoes there, there's no dogs, there's no this, there's no that. So, you know, and for no clothes, nothing to be found, only that one footprint, which seems even weirder to me. Where's the other footprints? You know, it's a complete mystery, and that's why it's captured everyone's attention, because it is such a total mystery with no clues at the moment, or no clues that we know about. So again, you know, one of the police officers, she did say, you know, we are working on other avenues as well. So, you know, they'll be looking into everything. So you've got the physical search for Gus's body now, unfortunately, but also they'll be doing other inquiries into the family dynamics and all that kind of thing. It's all going on. It's just, you know, we're not privileged to that information.
A sun hat, a long sleeve t-shirt, pants, boots, none of that has been found. It truly is a baffling missing persons case, and just a real tragedy for everyone involved. It's not the outcome that anyone wanted, Tash.
Absolutely not. Lauren, Rosie Nyunta, thank you so much.
Look, Celia, look, you've got to stop being paranoid like this, because I have not removed any of your comments. This is the comment you put. This is the only comment that has come up in the chat. This was a comment you put on right at the beginning, before I'd even started the live. It's there. It's there in the chat. So you must have some problem your end if you're not seeing. Now, there's no other comments have come up whatsoever from you. So if you made another comment after that, then it has been removed, but not by me, I can assure you. Definitely not by me. And now you've just put this comment on. You know, it wasn't removed. You've got to stop being paranoid. I do not remove comments. Only if I tell someone that I've removed. If I remove a comment, I'll say, oh, sorry, I'm removing that comment because whatever the reason is. So, you know, Celia, none of your comments have ever been removed, not by me. So you've got to stop being paranoid about that. You know, and if you feel unwelcome, then I'm sorry, but I can't be addressing people who are saying their comments are being removed when it's just not true. Okay, your one comment that you made right at the beginning of this chat is still there. That's why people said hello to you and now they knew that you were there. How do you think they knew you were there? I'm sorry, I'm not having this. So it's up to you. You decide whether you're going to join in the chat or not, but don't accuse me. That's how it feels to me, like I'm being accused of removing your comments. I am not. Okay. So that's the second time that's happened. So I'm just, you know, I'm sorry. I'm just, you know what? Life's too short. Celia's comments haven't been removed. I think there's something wrong with the way Celia's seen it. Maybe there's something on your end, Celia, that's wrong. Okay, so let's go back to this. But, you know, anyway, never mind. Oh, finished. Let's just watch that again.
Ben, thank you. This week's renewed search for 4-year-old Gus Lamont, who vanished in outback South Australia, is about to wrap up almost 3 weeks since he was last seen. Live now to Lauren Rose, who is in Yunta. Lauren, the Army is about to head back to Adelaide.
That's right, Tash, and they're really devastated to be leaving here without having found 4-year-old Gus Lamont. You can only imagine how devastated his family must be, having to say goodbye to these search teams without any answers. Tomorrow marks 3 weeks since Gus's grandma last saw him, since anyone last saw him. He was playing on a park.
Yeah, look at that. Gosh, I don't believe, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It won't be the first time, but I can't imagine that little boy would have run that far away. Just don't believe it. If he's there, he's close by, I think.
In a pile of sand out the front of their house. He was left unsupervised, and next minute he was gone. He simply vanished on the family's vast expansive outback sheep station. Since then, what we've seen is the largest search in South Australia's history. 95 square kilometres have been meticulous.
Right, Celia, that's it. I'm going to ban you from the channel if you carry on. So I showed the comments on there. So that's it. I'm not even going to mention it again. You say what you like in chat, but I will not mention this again. I don't like being called a liar. I don't like being accused of removing comments when I haven't. You shouldn't be so sensitive. It's only a YouTube channel, for God's sake. There's millions of YouTube channels out there. If it doesn't happen to you on any others, then fine, go and watch them. You're accusing me, aren't you, really, of removing your comments? So that's final thing that I'm going to say on this.
Scoured many more hundreds of square kilometres by air. Still, though, searchers don't even know which direction Gus wandered off in. He was wearing a sun hat, a long sleeve T-shirt, pants, boots. None of that has been found. It truly is a baffling missing persons case, and just a real tragedy for everyone involved. It's not the outcome that anyone wanted, Tash.
Absolutely not. Lauren Rose in Yunta, thank you so much.
So that's where we are with it. Unfortunately, the search has been called off for now. Now, whether they're going to start it again next week, I don't know. I hope so. Because they must be quite convinced that he is there somewhere for them to send the army out and to, they must be convinced he is there, do you think? And have they taken dogs out? I mean, I don't know if they've taken dogs out. I think they maybe have. But, yeah, it's a complete mystery. Now, the other thing, though, that I wanted to, I don't know if you remember, I covered a case on my channel. Let's see. Do you remember the case of Phoebe Bishop? So this was Australia as well, wasn't it? The Phoebe Bishop. This young girl disappeared. So, we know that people don't disappear into thin air, don't we? But it feels like it sometimes. Anyway, Phoebe, she 19, I think she was when she disappeared. She's very young anyway. Just disappeared. Her flatmate, this is her with her mum. Her flatmates, her housemates, a couple, I haven't put a picture of them up. I don't think we need to look at them. They said that they dropped her off at the airport. She was supposed to be going to the airport and flying off to visit her boyfriend in another part of Australia. Anyway, there was no sign of her there. There was no CCTV of her getting out of their car or anything. Anyway, and again, after quite a long search, because there was no, it's not impossible without a body, is it, to prove murder or foul play, but it obviously makes it easier with a body. And so the police were searching and searching, and they did find, unfortunately, Phoebe was deceased, and her housemates were arrested for murder and I think, and tampering with the court, because the authorities said they thought Phoebe's body had been moved at least once and maybe more times, as the investigation was going on. Anyway, so the alleged perpetrators of the murder of poor Phoebe are in prison, and we probably won't hear any more about that case now until the court case comes up, because one thing I have learned about Australian court cases is it's not like in America where they release bits of evidence. Well, in some states in America, they don't in all states in America. Everything's hush hush. That's what we found from the Erin Patterson trial. Till the actual trial happens, we don't find out any more details, do we? So all we know is that Phoebe sadly was taken from this world. Her roommates, a couple, are charged with her murder and are in prison awaiting trial. Then, so Phoebe's mother Phoebe Bishop's mum has reached out to Gus's family, so she knows exactly what it's like. She knows exactly what it's like to be at the centre of all that. This was another case that sort of went off the, went over the frontiers, if you like, wasn't kept just to news in Australia, attracted attention. For whatever reason, it's difficult to say why some cases attract attention all over the world and other cases don't. Some cases don't even attract much attention in the area that we, so, even in the area that they went missing, sometimes they don't attract attention. Who knows what it is? I do think that when cases are mysterious, like, when you've got an obvious thing like, the housemates saying they dropped her off at the airport, and clearly they hadn't dropped her off at the airport, though the police said that they thought that Phoebe was in that. There was CCTV of them driving to the airport and driving back home again, and the authorities thought that poor Phoebe probably was in that car, but deceased, in the boot or something. But they definitely had, they thought they're like those thickos who think they're clever, had sort of, thought, oh, well, we drive to the airport and our phones will show that we've been to the airport and we've come back. But, forgetting that they're going to get caught on CCTV. And Phoebe was not in the car, or she couldn't be seen in the car. So they think, the authorities think she was probably in the boot. At that time, she was deceased, and they were just trying to make it look as if they dropped her off at the airport. But all the CCTV, she never turned up at the airport. Her suitcase wasn't at the airport. She didn't check in, all those kind of things. So, for the weeks there it was that Phoebe was missing, her mum very sadly got to know what it was like to be in the centre of one of these social media, or it's not social media storm, it's a media storm, because it's not only the social media, it's the mainstream media. Daily Mail is the mainstream media. On the social media, we get most of our information from the mainstream media. Do you know what I mean? So, they also social media storm, but it's not social media storm. It's a media storm. They pick up on the cases and we pick up on what they say. So she was at the centre of it all, and thing is, while there's no news, that's when rumours start, isn't it? So, if somebody goes missing and they're found within a couple of days, there's not normally that many conspiracy theories arise. But if somebody goes missing, they're not found for a few weeks or a few years, or many years, that's when the conspiracy theories start, isn't it? So anyway, apparently Phoebe's mum, Kylie Johnson, has warned Gus's parents and grandparents of the pain and public scrutiny that follows tragedy, and offered them all the help she can. Now, the other thing, though, we have to remember is in the beginning, because I think Gus's family have tried very hard to be private, haven't they? They obviously are private people. They live in a very sort of remote place. They don't want all this attention. Some people do like media attention. We've seen the difference with Daniel Martel and Jack and Lily's disappearance. He seems to quite enjoy giving interviews. Other people don't, and that doesn't, just because Daniel's giving interviews, I'm not saying that means he's guilty of anything. I'm just saying everybody's different. Remember, we're all snowflakes. We're all different and unique. And then also you've got this conundrum in the beginning, because you don't want the attention really, but you need the attention because you're looking for your missing loved one. So it's sometimes cases are solved by people who take an interest on the social media, etc. Look at Gabby Petito. I mean, that's a prime example. Would Gabby Petito's body ever have been found if it wasn't for those van life people, the YouTube family that were passing by the van and saw Brian Laundrie's van parked up in the national park? I mean, these national parks are huge, massive. And the police didn't even know Gabby was dead then, never mind looking for a body. And then it turns out, because of the social media hype or media hype, this family thinking, oh, we went through there and we saw that van that had Florida plates or whatever, and realised it was actually Brian Laundrie's van. And when the police went to where could then identify where the van had been parked up, because they noticed it particularly because they were from the same place, and they thought, oh, there's a van from our neck of the woods, and they were going to slow down and say hello to whoever was in it, but they couldn't see anybody in it. So whether Brian was hiding in the back or what, but so they didn't get, but that's why they took and noticed the van, and because they had a dash cam in the car, in their van, they got they knew it was Brian's van because of the number plate, etc. Well, it was Gabby's van, actually. So the police went to that place where that van was parked, made a search, and found Gabby Petito's body. Now, would they have found it without? So you do, even though, you wouldn't think, sometimes it can be something that you really wouldn't think. So that can lead to a clue. You can be talking to somebody who you think is miles away from where this has happened, but they might know somebody who is near them. Say, oh, I saw a little boy, blah, 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 blah. You just don't know. So you do need you need publicity until someone is found. But unfortunately, you have to manage that, because then you're also going to get, the weirdos like that making the AI photos of little Gus being kidnapped. You're going to get them as well. It's like but it's almost, I don't know what the answer is to it, but you need the publicity because you want to find your missing loved one, not only with Gus, with any case, wherever it is in the world, but you don't want it to become like a circus, as unfortunately often it does. I have seen people control it really well. I thought with Victoria Taylor in the UK, that was a girl who went missing, who very sadly was eventually found in the river and had unalived herself because of, I don't want to go into it. I know her family, they tried to keep it as private as possible, but also with asking for information. I think they did it really well. And also, I do think the police, certainly in the UK, they've learned from the Nicola Bulley case how to sort of try and keep things. You can't, if you give out no information, if you don't give out any information, people just make it up anyway. So you've got to try and give out what information you can, even if it's just to come out and say there is no information. It's like, because the press, the media, the mainstream media, they're looking for something to say about it. So you give them something to say, it's better than making it up. Anyway, so she has written, apparently, a gut-wrenching letter of support to the family of missing 4-year-old Gus. And the body of her daughter, Phoebe, was found in Queensland's Goodnight Scrub National Park on June the 6th, 22 days after she vanished on her way to Bundaberg Airport. Her housemates, James Wood and Tanika Bromley, are now in jail, awaiting trial for the 17-year-old. 17! Oh my God. The 17-year-old's alleged murder after they gave her a lift to the airport on May the 15th. So, there she is, poor Phoebe and her mum. And you remember her sister spoke at the memorial. Sister is very like her. Sister's having to, having to keep, what's the word, having to face the fact that her sister has been murdered. And she spoke at the memorial. And it was very heart-wrenching. She's very similar to Phoebe as well. So she made what she's done is she's made a post on social media. Again, see, you use social media for, that's the thing with social media, you can't just use it for things you want to use it for and then say people shouldn't follow you or shouldn't comment when you don't want it. You know, social media is here to stay. We just have to accept it. But yeah, you know, you just hope you're never in that position. I mean, it must be absolutely awful. So she said, I hope that Gus's family sees this. My advice is to protect your mental health and your ability to function. Stay off social media and the news. Keep looking, keep your hopes alive. That's Gus. Every time his little face pops up, bless him. That's Gus's mum and dad, who, as I say, are together but live separately. So the grieving mum, who came under intense scrutiny during the hunt for Phoebe, revealed how public tragedy can expose you to cruel online trolls. Please know that the media will maul you with requests. And that's the mainstream media. The community will demand answers, and complete strangers will make judgments about your parenting and life choices, she wrote. Let them hold your space. If you don't want to talk to them, you don't have to. In a post to social media, she urged Gus's loved ones to find strength in one another. Keep your head high, she stressed. Hold your loved ones closer than ever before and know that you are not alone. Good people still exist. Shut out all the lies and propaganda. I'm so thankful for my sister Crystal, who protected me from these blows. So during the search for her daughter, Miss Johnson endured a heartless backlash after details emerged about Phoebe's living conditions. Now, yeah, because so what had happened was she wasn't living with her mum, was she? She'd gone to live with these two horrible people. One of them, I think the woman, wasn't she some social worker or something? But anyway, so she'd been staying with her accused killers in a filthy house in Gingin, which was strewn with rubbish and the remains of 17 dead dogs. Now, you know, so perhaps something happened, you know, the thing is families argue, you know, and her mum will have come in for a lot of stick. Because it would be like, well, how could you let her live like that or whatever? But a 17-year-old, if they decide to move out and go and live with somebody else, there is nothing you can do about it. And anyone who thinks their 17-year-old would never do that, and, you know, you just don't know what your 17-year-old might do. You know, anyone who's had teenagers and gone through that pain, there it is, you know, not only because I think when we were teenagers, when you're a teenager, you just don't even think about it. You don't even consider what you're doing to your parents, you know, because nobody matters really except you and your friends. That's just how it is for teenagers. It's a very strange time. And I don't know what happened here. I have no idea. But, you know, if Phoebe moved out, she moved out for a reason that was important to her. And her mum, you don't know what their relationship is. And as I say, anyone who's got a perfect teenager, well, good for you. But, you know, I can't say that happened to me. So, and this was the home. I mean, it was horrible. But how is that her fault? How is that the mum's fault that that house was a pigsty? You know, how is that the mum's fault? So, adding to the family's anguish, Miss Johnson's sister, Kaz, appeared on national TV to question why Phoebe had left her family home. And she said the teen had texted her about a family rift. Well, the other thing about that text is we don't actually know that that was even Phoebe who sent that text. You know, because we know from other cases, don't we, that quite often happens. That people, you know, quite often texts get sent that aren't actually from that person. So, yeah, I remember that now. We covered that. That was the interview by Phoebe's mum's sister. Yeah, said, you know, she was casting shade on her own sister. You know, the thing is, you just don't know what happens. Sometimes teenagers, you just can't tell them what to do. You know, like, you just can't. Hi, Lily. It's just the way it is, you know. So this, of course, is happening with the Gus Lamont family, because they've got unconventional living arrangements. I don't know what conventional living arrangements are these days. You know, who's got a normal family? Have you got a normal family? I don't think I have. You know what? But I don't know what a normal family is. You know, like, because every family has got skeletons in its cupboard, and believe me, you know, even families you think are like, oh God, their family looks so perfect and so happy, they're not necessarily. You know, because you just don't know what happens behind closed doors. So the preschooler lived at the family homestead with his mother, Jess Lamont, and the child's two grandmothers, Shannon and Josie Murray. Josie transitioned several years ago and now identifies as female, and lives with a female then, by the sound of it. Gus's parents also have a 1-year-old son, Ronnie, but live 2 hours apart from each other because of a family dispute. So this is it. As soon as you say, you know, family dispute, unconventional living arrangements, or whatever, you know, people are going to jump on that. So this GMAR who transitioned is the biological GMAR. So it sounds like there's another GMAR as well. And the mum, the dad, who don't live together but are still together. And then poor little Gus, and then he's got a younger brother who's just more or less a baby, I think, or not more than 10 months old or whatever. So, yeah, I suppose it is unconventional. But what's conventional? And I think, you know, like you just said, Blue, normal families aren't normal. You know, so how often do you know, it's like if you look at Shannon Watts and Chris Watts, you know, the perfect family, you know, the husband, wife, 2 little girls, the woman's pregnant, Shannon was pregnant with Nico, all seemed on the outside because it was all played out on social media, wasn't it? Because Shannon was very into her social media. It turns out he's been having an affair. He's, you know, and he murders not only his wife and his unborn son, but the 2 girls as well. You know, there you go. That's what happens to normal families sometimes. You know, you just don't know. Quite often things happen and people say, oh, no, I had no idea. They seem like such a lovely family. And they say, oh, I can't believe that he's done that or she's done that or whatever. You know, just don't know. There is no conventional family. We might like to think there is, or, you know, certainly, you know, sometimes people try and tell us there is, but there's not. You know, we have to accept families of all shapes and sizes, and you know, made up of all sorts of, you know, be it single parents, you know, two same-sex parents. They can be good or bad. It's not about whether they're unconventional or not. Now, it could be that this does end up being relevant. I'm not saying that this, whatever disputes have gone on in this family aren't relevant. I'm just saying at the moment we don't know, and we can't think, oh yeah, there must be something strange because it's an unconventional family. Because conventional families do terrible things. So the family have remained fiercely private through the search, which has simply fueled wild speculation and online conspiracy theories. And you know, this is, I just think they can't win really, because you've got like, you know, parents of missing children that go out and talk a lot, like Daniel Martel, his step parent. Hey. And then, of course, Malaya, the mother, she doesn't talk at all. So she gets into trouble for that. People say, oh, why is she not saying anything? I just think you can't win. Like when there's a mystery. So you've just got to do what you think. You know, if you're ever unfortunate, God, you hope to God you're never in that position. But you can't let the media make you make interviews. And then, you know, if you don't want to do an interview, don't do an interview, but you probably are going to come in for you know, criticism. Whatever you do, whether you make interviews or you don't make interviews, whatever you do, you're going to come into, you know, it's like, so you might as well just do your own thing, isn't it? So in her letter to the Lamonts, she extended an open offer of support and solidarity, saying she's just an inbox away for anyone who needs someone who truly understands the pain of losing a child in the public eye. The wannabe detectives and the untruths will vilify you and affect your own mental stability, all while you're just trying to survive and keep hope alive. And don't forget, there's been some weird people who have actually made AI images of Gus being abducted and put in a car. You know, just there's something wrong with these people. Our porch light will be on for Gus and every other missing person for as long as we live, sending love and healing from our rural family to yours. So more than 100 team members, including the police, SA Police, that's South Australian Police, ADF members, God, I hate these initials. I think SES is Search Emergency Services or something like that, continued the search today in hot, harsh conditions, but no new leads were uncovered. And the South Australia Police have confirmed there is nothing to suggest foul play, but they are obligated to investigate every possibility. So, yeah, so, God, look at the state of that place. Oh, my God. You know, this was, I remember when we had, you know, we saw the video of the place. Poor Phoebe. How did she end up there? My God. I don't know. But anyway, very sad. Yeah, so that's her advice to the Lamonts. Phoebe's mum's advice. Stay off social media. But the thing is, it's not only social media. So it's hard to avoid the news completely, isn't it? You know, never what, you know, so it doesn't matter if they ever never go on YouTube or they never go on Instagram or never go on Facebook. This is on the national news as well. So how do you avoid it? How do you? I don't know. But, you know, it's not going to change now, is it? You know, I don't know. It's a very difficult situation for anyone to be in. And not only you're sort of suffering because, you know, you don't know what's happened to your loved one, and suffering even more because people are accusing you of God knows what before they know anything. Now, there's everything's possible. And it always seems strange, doesn't it, when someone just especially a child, just disappears like that. I really don't believe that boy has gone far, one way or another. Anyway. Hi, Joanne. Sorry, I'm just making sure. Yeah, that's it. You know, you want to be proud. Well, nobody would like that. Imagine you just got up now and you opened your front door and there was a load of media outside trying to get an interview with you over something. I mean, it's just horrible, isn't it? Because, but then it's horrible for it's not. I don't think this. Don't know that the social media people go there and try and interview them. That's the media that do that, the mainstream media, the legacy media. You know, it's one thing to be on speculating, and the thing we have to remember is as well, most people that make comments about missing people or murders or whatever, it's because they do care about, we all care about Gus. We want to think that there's a chance that he might be brought home to his family. Even though we don't know him personally, it doesn't mean to say we can't care about a child going missing. Hey, Joanne. Yeah, somebody else was saying that. Was that you, Bluebell, or did you get a notification in the end? I don't know why, honestly, I've given up trying to understand YouTube because, as I say, YouTube channels that I'm subscribed to and I've pressed notifications, I often don't get notifications, but I get notifications from YouTube channels that I'm not even subscribed to. Maybe I've been subscribed to them and I've unsubscribed, and then I still carry on getting notifications, but I don't get notifications from ones that I want to get notifications from. So yeah, it's a big mystery, YouTube. And you know what? People get sort of aerated about it, because they don't realize that YouTube is a law into itself, and the actual us as creators, we don't have complete control over everything that YouTube do. We just don't. So that's the way it is. So, I think it's important as well not to take things personally. Like if you think your comments disappeared, and maybe, every week I'm digging out hidden comments. Because if YouTube doesn't like your comments, or I have got banned words that people aren't allowed to use, and if you use one of those banned words, they just stick you in the hidden comments, and it's not until I go in there to fish it out that I even find the comment. And sometimes you think, God, why have they hidden that? Because they just, I don't know, they remember it's bots. So the YouTube bots who decide which comments are acceptable or not, they've only got to see one thing that they think, well, sometimes I try and put comments on my own channel when we're on live and it comes up, YouTube won't let you make this comment, try and change it a bit. It's detected possible spam. Me as the creator trying to make a comment, so yeah. Yeah, maybe to unsubscribe, resubscribe, and press notifications again, all notifications. I don't know. Honestly, I just don't know. And I don't know, there's not really anything I can do about it. And obviously I'd like to be able to do something about it, because I want people to get notifications. I want people to be able to leave comments as long as they're not insulting. And I want to be able to answer them, because it all helps the algorithm. I'm not going to go around removing comments unless they're, nasty, really. But there you go. Good old YouTube. Still, what we have to remember is YouTube is free at the point of use. You can use YouTube. You have to watch adverts if you don't go for the premium YouTube. But it's free, isn't it? So it's free. It's an entertainment platform that's completely free. And when you like or subscribe a video, it's free. When you press notifications, it's free. You know, so really, you know, you can't expect too much, can you, from a free platform? But you have to be aware of that and not take it personally. If you're on a YouTube channel and, you know, you think your comment's been removed, or I don't know, or, you know, whatever, you've not to take it so personally, because it's just YouTube. Do you know, it's not real life. Well, it's real life because we're talking about, you know what I mean. It's not like someone's not deliberate. I find that a lot with social media, to be honest, not only YouTube. Same on Facebook and things, because I don't always see my Facebook messages because I don't go on Facebook that much now. I used to years ago, but now I don't. I'm on X more. But Facebook, I mean, you know, quite often I don't see messages that come through or notifications. And people can get quite sort of funny about it if you don't answer them. Other times I don't have time to answer them, maybe in the moment. I think, right, I'll answer that later. And then I just forget because things happen or whatever. And then, you know, again, people get, you know, with social media, people get a bit uppity, don't they? Okay, so I'm off. I thought I'd just give you those updates. So it's what do you let me know what you think in comments about Jake Haro, this complete. So he's pled guilty to the murder of his baby. That's what we talked about first. I've put him in the hellhole already. He's a nasty, horrible man. He's already abused one of his children and left them for dead, giving them traumatic brain injury. And now little Emmmanuel, he's admitted that he's murdered him. Second-degree murder. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? So that was the first thing that we talked about. And then, of course, we had the update on little Gus. Nothing found yet. My heart goes out to this family. One way or another, this is, you know, a big mystery. Let's hope some news comes out. We don't want it to end up like Madeleine McCann case. They drew a comparison there with Madeleine McCann. 17 years. Imagine 17 years of not knowing if your loved one was going to walk in through the door, or if somebody, yeah, and then you can bet 100% years down the line, if Gus is never found, people will be turning up saying they're Gus Lamont, etc. So, yeah, very sad situation, both of those situations. So, I'm going. As I say, let me know what you think in comments, as long as you're not nasty to anyone. No nastiness, no insults. That's all. And no mention of the YouTube channel. I don't have many rules in my chat, do I? Just be respectful, give your views, but be respectful, and don't mention other YouTube channels by name. That's just to avoid drama. That's all. Not for any other reason. Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you for caring about Gus and, of course, baby Emmmanuel. I'll see you really soon. And do not forget, please, to like and subscribe. Completely free, as I say. Remember that YouTube is free at the point of watching. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God, as always, go with you.